This episode is a little different. Today's episode is a catch up special, an update on the Uvalde story we covered earlier. When we first recorded that episode, there was an overwhelming amount of information coming out, and several investigations as well as lawsuits were still unresolved. Since then, some of those cases have reached decisions, while others still remain pending. So today we are revisiting Uvalde, not to retell the whole story, but to explain what's happened since. On May 24th, 2022, an 18-year-old named Salvador Ramos shot his grandmother at her home, seriously injuring her. Both had argued over him failing classes due to low grades and not having enough credits to graduate high school. He then fled in a vehicle, crashed near Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, right beside a roadway, and then walked out of the crashed car and entered the school. He was fully armed, and inside Robb Elementary, he started shooting. 21 people were killed, 17 were injured. Three parents tried to enter the school to rescue their kids, but were physically restrained by police outside. They suffered minor injuries in the process and had to be treated at the scene. Multiple law enforcement agencies responded, including Border Patrol, whose tactical unit ultimately killed the shooter. Thanks to Border Patrol, the shooter was killed by law enforcement. In our original episode, we also discussed a 15-year-old German girl in Germany, in a whole other continent, who was charged and summoned to court for ignoring messages from the shooter, claiming he was about to commit a school shooting. She replied, okay. She was eventually convicted and sentenced to an educational measure. She got a slap on the wrist, just a formal warning. And she did not get a serious penalty. That is good. This should have ended in a cease and desist notice, not a criminal trial, as the courts all around the world should be reserved for severe cases only. Something that America has not been doing lately, especially certain states. Multiple lawsuits and investigations tied the law enforcement response. At the time, several of those cases were still unresolved. Now, here's where things stand regarding the Uvalde-related cases. Litigation involving the Texas Department of Public Safety remains ongoing. These cases focus on releasing records related to the shooting, granting public information requests, and conducting appeals over what must legally be disclosed. While some records have been ordered released, efforts to delay or limit disclosure continue, and the issue is still very much alive in the courts. Shortly after the shooting, the Texas House of Representatives in Austin formed a special investigative committee to examine what happened during the law enforcement response, why the response was so delayed, and why it failed to stop the shooters sooner. In July 2022, the committee released a 77-page report outlining several failures, serious failures, at nearly every level during the shooting. However, lawmakers have never formally confirmed whether additional materials exist or whether more findings will be released in the future. Despite repeated public inquiries, the status of further disclosures remains unclear, leaving families and the public without closure. Either there are no more documents or files to release, or this House is ignoring public requests. In May 2024, families of Uvalde victims filed a wrongful death lawsuit against several companies including Daniel Defense, Activision Blizzard, Meta Platforms. It was not only wrongful death, it was also a negligence claim. The lawsuit alleged that Meta allowed firearm-related marketing and content to reach young users through Instagram, that they failed to enforce its own rules prohibiting gun advertising and harmful promotional material, that they enabled algorithmic promotion of gun imagery that normalized weapons and violence. The claim was not that Meta directly caused the shooting, but that its platform allegedly contributed to the environment that influenced the shooter. In December 2025, a California court dismissed Meta from the lawsuit. That judge was Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge William Heiberger, who serves at the district level. This was a civil lawsuit. The court ruled that federal law protects internet platforms from liability for third-party content. Instagram acted as a platform, not as the creator or publisher of the content. There was no proven causal link showing the shooter saw or acted because of specific Instagram content. The judge also warned that allowing the case to proceed could open the door to limitless lawsuits against social media companies, a policy decision better left to lawmakers. Importantly, Meta was dismissed at the trial court level. The decision is currently being appealed, so for a while, Meta will be out, but the issue is not fully closed. Meta may be returned to the case. The large federal class action lawsuit filed by families against the city of Uvalde, the school district, the law enforcement agencies responding, is still pending. The case is being heard in federal court in Austin, Texas, and as of 2026, no final judgment or settlement has been announced. Former Uvalde police chief, the chief for the Uvalde School District, Pete Arredondo, was charged with 10 felony counts of endangerment. Investigators allege that he failed to order an immediate tactical breach, called for a SWAT team instead of acting himself, evacuated parts of the school while the shooter remained inside, delayed intervention during an active shooter event. It looks like because of him, since he was the boss, the officers could not immediately enter the classrooms to hunt down the shooter. They were taking too long. He was suspended about a month after the shooting. Then roughly 2 months after that, the school board voted to not renew his contract. On June 2024, he was indicted by a grand jury at the Uvalde County District Court. He has since pleaded not guilty and remains free on bond awaiting trial. Adrian Gonzales, who some call Adrian Gonzales, was an officer working for Chief Arredondo and was also accused of failing to respond appropriately. Investigators claim Gonzales did not act appropriately to confront nor disrupt the shooter, that he failed to follow active shooter training, that he did not attempt to stop the shooter before he entered the classrooms. He was one of the first police officers to arrive at the school. He was suspended in October 2022. His contract expired on New Year's Day in 2023. Then in February 2023, he informed the school district that he did not want to return to work there. In January 2024, Gonzales was formally tied to a Texas state criminal probe. Uvalde County District Attorney Christina Mitchell presented this probe to a grand jury at the Uvalde County District Court. This grand jury would go on to review the evidence for several months. On June 27, 2024, the grand jury indicted Gonzales on 29 felony counts of endangerment. D.A. Mitchell unsealed the indictment that same month and appointed a special prosecutor, Bill Turner, who was once the Brazos County District Attorney. Turner would be the main prosecutor moving forward. Gonzales was defended by three private attorneys, the former Bexar County DA, Nico LaHood, as well as assistants from his law firm, Jason Goss and Gary Hillier, following the indictment's public announcement on national television. Gonzales surrendered to the Uvalde County Jail with his defense team. That same day, he was released on a $10,000 bond, which was agreed upon by both parties. On July 25, 2024, Gonzales pleaded not guilty before Judge Sid Harley in the Uvalde County District Court. Due to concerns about media bias, the case was moved to the Nueces County District Court in Corpus Christi, where Selena's from. On January 5, 2026, a jury for his trial was seated the first day. 12 members and 4 alternates would hear crucial evidence. And a day after that, the trial officially began. On the 7th, during early testimony, DPS witnesses gave statements that differed from prior reports and discovery materials. In particular, one of the witnesses, the defense argued new information was introduced mid-trial. Their ability to prepare and cross-examine was compromised. The discrepancies were prejudicial. They requested a mistrial. Judge Harley denied the motion, ruling the issue could be addressed through cross-examination. On January 21, 2026, the jury reached its verdict, not guilty on all counts. Adrian Gonzales was fully acquitted and released from all criminal liability. Thank you for listening to this episode of Strawberry Inc. As the other pending matters reach their decisions, I'll let you know. Have a good rest of your day.